Hello, this is Patrick with Sans Minds Magic. Thank you for picking up this DVD and supporting us. I'll be showing you 7 impromptu effects for my working routine. These are sleight of hand based card effects that is extremely visual and is perfect for walk around, close-up magic, street magic, or even a louder environment like nightclubs. It cuts through all the presentation, yet at the same time it leaves plenty of room for it. With that said, let's get into it. All the cards are different. Okay. Yeah? Touch the card, take one card out, take one card out. Remember, show to the camera. Okay, nice, perfect. We'll put it back into the deck. We'll show the camera one more time. Okay, now watch this. Put it back. You remember your card? Don't say. Hold your hand, Hold a little over. We use 4. Watch the 4. 1, 2, 3. See, change it to an H. Watch, I'm gonna take one card, look. 7. Watch, look. 1, 2. It's your card, right? Let's say we have a few cards. Look. Doesn't matter. These are not really good, right? Not a good hand. Look, 2, King, Jack, and 10. Not really good. Watch closely. I'm gonna take 1. If I turn 1 face up. Imagine they're like a higher card, like aces. Yeah. Look, they actually change it. Watch 1. They changed to aces. Oh. Let's try this. We have 4 different aces. We'll put them back in a different part first, and the last one we'll put it somewhere towards the top of the deck. Hey, stop! Here. Cut about half. Cut about half. 4 different piles. Look. The jack, I put it in between the aces, like this. See a jack? Yeah. 1, touch the card. Whoa! Look, if I take this 8 and I put it back like this, put your finger like this. Watch, ready? 1, 2, touch it. This time I'm gonna have you sign your name, okay? Take this pen. And touch one card that you like, anyone you want. Can you write your name on the card for me? The card? Put it back into the deck like this. Somewhere, push it in. Watch closely. I'm gonna find your card, look. See, look, that's a joker, right? That's not your card. But look, if we put this card into the deck, look, 1, 2, 3, look. They all turn blank. Except for one card in the deck, look.
What? CJ, why is he
Look, there's one card. Here's my take on a double lift. It's inspired by Dan and Dave Carnahan fan and also a Eclipse move by Eric Jones. I want to create a one-handed double lift that looks fair, is flourishy, and can also be done on the table with one hand. Without further ado, let's get into the explanation. Okay, so first thing we need is the pinky break. You can use pinky count, thumb count, any method you like. When we normally hold pinky break, we normally try to keep the front closed like this, right? If you allow your middle finger to relax, you can see that it creates that little gap there. That really helps for your first finger to push the deck backward. Essentially, your finger motion is going to be like this. Your thumb is going to be on top of your first finger, and it's going to be pivoting around the first finger like this, spinning around in this fashion. I would suggest you practice with one card first, just so you get used to the motion. Make sure every time when you do it, the side of the card is gliding on top of the deck. You don't want the card to be up in the air like this because there's no way that you can align that double. So when you get a break, use your first finger to push back the deck about 3/4 of an inch. And when your thumb and your first finger contacting on the same point, around that point, if you use bicycle cards, it'll be on the angel. You're going to do that pivoting motion with your thumb and the first finger. The first finger is going to extend towards your right. you're going to use your thumb to pivot around. And as you can see here, I'm using my pinky to help supporting the deck. Now don't worry if this double gets splitted, because in a second it's going to align when it's stopped right here. Now the card right now, the situation right now should be about 90 degrees, and you're going to use your left hand to turn over until the double is parallel to the ground. I know it sounds confusing, but once you get the move down, it will look something like this. Your right hand going to be grabbing the double around the corner right here. What I like to do is I use my thumb to push down, and at the same time use my first finger, my ring finger, to support and push upward. Now I'm creating pressure on the card, which makes it impossible for me to split the double. If you split the double, when you spin around like this, your right hand can sometimes help save that double by squaring it up in the corner like that. And all you have to do is just turn this over on top of the deck, deal it down, execute the magic gesture, and then the trick is over. Now obviously a double lift is a utility move. If you were to put this in a routine, you can pretend to find the wrong card. So imagine a spectator will select a card, doesn't matter which card they picked, control it to the top, execute a double lift, and then you place the indifferent card into their hand. Now do any magical gesture you like, snap your finger, the card is now changed in the spectator's hand. Now this is probably the most strongest change you can ever do on spectator's hand. One advantage that you have with this double lift is that you can actually execute this double lift on a table one-handed. You can do the exact same thing. Once this is turned, instead of placing to your right hand, you're actually putting this down onto a table. Now the hardest part is to actually leave the double with the nail of your finger. That way it doesn't split or create any friction to split that double. Again, with practice, you push this down, execute a double lift, place it down, and you're going to pin down with your nail, and you leave it up. I'll do one more time quickly so you get the idea of the double lift. That's it. Here's the explanation for the 4-card change. The setup, all you need is 4 aces. Any 4 of kind is fine. Take the first ace. I like to use ace of spades because it has a nice contrast. And then turn everything on top of the deck like this. So essentially you have 3 aces face down and 1 ace facing up. Depending on the routine you're doing. In this case, I'm just going to go through a simple one. You can have a spectator grab a group of cards. You can have 4 people select 4 different cards, because in the end, you're going to actually turn those into a better hand in poker. In this case, the 4 aces. Use your pinky, or whichever way you like, to get a break below the 4th card, which is the face-up ace. Now here's the crucial part. Your thumb going to take the first card and can be flushed into the deck. The second card is important, that when you take it, you want to down draw that card just a little bit. So you can see the first card, the jack here, is on top here. The second card is down. Now the other 2 cards are actually going to go between those 2 cards. I will tell you the reason why. Now, maintaining that break below the 4 aces with your right hand, you're going to grab everything. Now when you turn this over, you want to try to align that down draw card into the bottom edge of the deck. So it looks like this. You turn this over, and as you can see, the jack is being shifted up until that edge aligns on the back here. So from here, essentially it's going to move upward like this, and at the same time you turn the deck over. Okay? When you turn this over, as you can see, you already create that step there, which allows you to easily pick up that packet. because you don't want to put too much time on the switch. Right here, as you can see, there's one card that's need to be pushed down. If I was to pick this up, you can see there's cards sticking out, right? But since we put those two cards between the first and the second card, it allows that card to be pushed down secretly without them seeing, at the same time as you picking up that packet. Now what I like to do a quick flash of that card so to get a retention that nothing has changed in this packet yet. Once this is done, I like to peel the bottom card and turn it face up like that, okay? You're gonna need to have a break below the bottom card, which is the first ace, in this case the ace of diamonds. And what I like to do now is actually turn it over like this. In the meanwhile, I'm explaining that the reason I'm turning the card face up so they can see both the back and the front at the same time. And here's the move. With your right hand, you can actually insert all the fingers above the break. So your right hand approach like this. I'm gonna do it separately so you can see the action. Two things happening at the same time. Your first finger pushing that card down to be flushed with that double. Your right hand gonna be spreading up like this. At the same time, it will look something kind of like this. And as you can see now, it doesn't look that good. It looks like that jack disappeared. What you have to do is to actually execute your right hand first and then push down the jack like this. Okay? Now this is the movement to make this look good. It's kind of similar to when you're doing Asher Twist by Lee Asher. Is that you want to have that slow change, okay? So your right hand actually spread upward to cover that card disappearing, because you don't want card to go in at the same time. You're going to see the card flash. So with your right hand, you spread upward and then spread to the right. Now I'm going to use my thumb to grab the third ace, and now you can slowly turn that card and show the card change. From now, you can display the 4 aces and the trick is over. One more time quickly. Hand goes in, spread it over, and slowly turn that ace. Display like that. And that's it. That's the explanation for the 4-card change. Okay, so here's a quick little tip to help you execute the change. If you look down here, now sometimes it depends on the condition of your hand. I tend to have a sweaty hand sometimes, so it makes it impossible to align the double, because it gets really sticky and it gets stuck here with the base of your hand. Here's just a little tip that you could do to help. What you need to do, instead of having that corner down right here between your palm, I like to raise it up a little higher. It's like you're doing a tilt. It's like a tilt position. Because right here, there's actually less friction from here than here. Because right here, it tends to be like a corner and the card gets stopped here. And when you're pushing this down, if you don't do it correctly, sometimes it gets messed up like that. So if you raise this up and push it in, you would find that it's actually a lot easier to square that up, because all you do is just push it down and get squared. It will not get caught or anything like that. Alright, so that's it. That's just a quick little tip to help you execute the change a little more smoothly. Alright, so here's the explanation for the alternative handling for the 4-card change. Now with this one, it has a kicker at the end, because at the end, you're actually turning these aces into a different back design. In this case, I'm using a brown latte deck and a red back bicycle. What you need is you need 4 cards from a different deck, and then the matching card for the ace of spades with the original back. Here's the setup. You take the ace of spades, put it on the bottom of the deck. I'm going to show you how to switch the card at the end so you end completely clean. And then after that, you're going to take 3 aces, put it face up on top of the deck. Take the original back design of the ace of spades, put it face down. Now this is kind of like the opposite setup than the first one, because we want to conceal the back. We don't want them to see just yet. So these are like this. The 4 cards are the same. They can be chosen or whichever method you liked. you need a break below the first ace. That is face up, which is the ace of hearts. You put everything down to the top. Now, we don't have to go through all the flip over because we are actually going to execute a different switch. Now, from here, once you get the 4 cards here, you can actually put it back to the top of the deck and pick the whole block. We're actually having 8 cards in our hand right now. I like to use my middle finger to conceal the thickness of the card. Now, here's a little touch on the switch. When you do this, most people would like to turn the card completely flush to the deck. I like to leave it up jaw for a retention switch. So for the first card, I use my thumb. You peel a single card. Use your right hand to turn that over. The second card, you use your right hand to turn it over as well. Third, and the last one, it should look like I'm picking up that packet and at the same time putting a 3 onto the bottom. And at the same time, it looks like this. You use your first finger to push this flush and you peel that 3 at the same time. And you're turning this back underneath the packet. All they have seen is just all latte deck design in the back. Now from here, you're actually way ahead of them. We already got all the 3 red cards and ready to do the kicker at the end. So the first change, you do the exact same thing. You turn the bottom card over and you get a break below the first card, above that indifferent card. What I like to do now is to point that I'm going to execute the change on the face and also on the back. So keep your eye closely, the front and the back. Now this also flash the original design in the back. That way they're convinced all they see is just brown, brown, brown everywhere. So when you do the change at the end, it's a nice surprise ending. You execute the same change and then slowly you turn this one over. And the last one is also a nice image for them too because they see this brown card and you turn over. It's pretty convincing. Now here's the kicker. The situation right now, you have a double here with the red back hiding and a 2 in the middle. And the top one is the brown design. You want to take the first top 3 and you're going to put it underneath that double. Take this 3, you place it underneath. Now when you turn the whole thing, you can do a magical gesture. Now here's the color change on the back. Execute an Elmsley count. You peel 1. Your thumb push a block. At the same time, you steal the first card back. The thumb pinch. And then the other 2. So they just seen 4 different red back. Now here's the cleanup. All you have to do, don't flash that. You take everything, you put it on top of a deck like this. Use your first finger and thumb, peel the top card and the bottom card. This is actually the switch ace that we are switching. You peel this out, turn its face up, transfer the deck to your left hand, peel out 2 cards, and turn it down like this. Now we have switched that ace from the bottom ace. And that's it, that's the cleanup for the alternate handling. Here's my take on a spectator cut 2 aces. It's a very simple interactive effect that a spectator feel like they're the one who's doing all the magic, which makes this effect a lot stronger. It requires minimal setup and very easy to do. Let's check it out. Okay, so here's the setup. You can use any 4 of a kind. In this case, I'm just going to use the 4 aces. 4 aces goes on top of the deck. All you have to do is to place 2 cards, 2 aces, into the center of the deck. You are going to execute 2 slip cuts. What you have to do is to get a break about halfway down in the deck. You can simply just pick this up and get a break with your pinky, or just riffle from the back. Use your thumb to riffle about halfway. You are going to insert your pinky to get a break. And then now you're going to do a slip cut. Put your thumb on top of a deck. You're going to peel 1, 2, maintain the break, and the rest of the pack goes on top. And now you're set to go. So right now on the top half, you have 2 aces. Bottom half, you have 2 more aces. Now the first cut, you're going to do the riffle force. You're going to riffle with your thumb, and you ask the spectator to say stop anywhere they like. This is called force. It doesn't matter where they say stop. When they say stop, you're going to pick up at the break with your thumb. You're going to lift up and let go everything here, like so. This is placed on the table. Right now we have 2 aces here. Let me turn this face up so you can actually see it a lot better. Okay? You ask the spectators to cut that packet into half toward themselves. So they would cut from here to here. Now the aces are here. You ask the spectator to cut half from your hand down to the table. Make sure you point position where you want them to be. You don't want them to cut into a random position. You want to try to keep them in the same line, like this. Okay? Once they cut everything, I like to recap the effect, saying that, you know, the deck could be shuffled, they could have cut anywhere they like in the deck, completely free choice on the location they cut to. And here comes the move. I'm going to turn this back face down so you get to see what it actually looks like. So right now we have 2 aces here, 2 aces here. 2 things are happening at the same time. Your right hand is going to reach for the first ace, and your left hand is reaching for the third ace. At the same time, it looks like this, and you turn both of them over at once. Normally I like to lift this up high as a misdirection from here, because in a second you can actually place this ace down to the second one, which never has the aces at all. You pick this up at the same time as a gesture. Right now it's called time misdirection. It's when they forget where I actually peel this ace from. I drop everything down onto the table, and the ace drop onto the second packet, like this. Now I slowly, cleanly turn this one over to show the third ace, and on the last one is the one that's closest to them. I like to build up the little suspense a little bit that there's no way that they could have cut to the 4 aces. And then turn that over, and boom, that's the trick. Now what makes this work? The illusion of your left hand. Because normally if this is on the table, you could have cut 2 here and pick up the same, right? We're actually breaking up the structure a little bit by using my left hand to pick up a third one. Because watch this. This hand come over and turn this over. It becomes the card from this packet. When this hand comes over and turn this over, at the same time when you're misdirecting with this hand, it looks like there are just 4 aces from a different pack. And that's how it works. That's spectator cut to 4 aces. Here's some additional idea for the spectator cut to 4 aces. Now you don't always have to cut to 4 aces. You can also use it as a prediction. For example, if you borrow a spectator's money, and then maybe you cut to 4 different pile, and it happens to be the last 4 digit of their serial number. It could be their last 4 number of their phone number. You can also add a twist to the effect. For example, you do a deck switch to a blank deck with 4 aces on top. They cut to 4 cards, you show all the 4 aces, and at the end, you spread the entire deck and they're all blank. These are just a few tips on the spectator to cut 4 aces. Hope you find some use for it. Here is the revised version of my original effect, Center Point. Let's check it out. Before we go through the routine, let me teach you how to do the pop-up move. Essentially what you're doing, you're creating a tension on a playing card, and it's going to be shoot out this way. Now imagine this card is in the center of a deck. You can execute angle jog, the angle side jog, by putting your thumb here and the middle finger here. Now normally when you push down straight like this, the card gets flushed into the deck or gets squared. But if you apply pressure on only one side of it, you actually create an angle jog. What this allows you to do is to reposition your pinky and your first finger on the card in a straddle position. I'm going to move the top halves, that way you can see the move in exposed view. What you're going to do is to create a tension by moving the pinky towards the first finger, like so. As you can see, you're creating a little bow on the card. Now there's a lot of tension on the card right now, and we would normally have the other half on top of that card. Now when I let go of my first finger or relax, only my first finger though, you want to keep the pinky on the exact same position. And as you can see, the card will shoot out. And when doing this with the deck on top, it's going to be a little more challenging, but with practice, it will become really easy to do. Again, push on the angle, so you get that little side jog. My pinky and my first finger grab around that card into a straddle position. My pinky move toward my first finger. Don't move the first finger, only move the pinky. And as you can see, it created tension on the card. Depending on how far you want to shoot this card out is depending on your thumb. If I push my finger down right now and trap that card, it would only come out that far. But if I don't apply any pressure at all and I hold it loosely, that card could actually be shot out really far. So that's a brief explanation for the pop-up move. So first, I like to use two jokers. You can set this aside, have them hold on to these two. It could be any cards you want. You have a card selected. Let's say in this one, it's a 6 of hearts. And this time they should be holding the card, showing around their friends. In the meantime, you can execute a tilt. I like to put this card on the 4th position in a deck. Later on, I'm going to be calling that card and going to replace that card between the jokers without them knowing. So first, you get a break below the top 3 cards. You can use a thumb count, or you can use your pinky to pull down the top 3 cards. So once this card is being shown around, it's a misdirection for you to get the break. Get ready for the tilt. For those who don't know about the tilt, when you have a break, just relax the base of your thumb. That should allow the card to be tilted down evenly like this. You're going to pretend to put that card into the center of a deck, but in the same time, you're actually creating an illusion by placing on the 4th card, but because of that depth, it looks like it's going through the center of a deck. So this is called a tilt. In this case, we're going to put this on the 3rd position of a deck. This goes in all the way. Technically, you can be really fair about the cards not being on top or on the bottom. Once the cards are in the tilt position, you ask the spectator to take the 2 jokers and put it back anywhere they like in the deck. Now I like to riffle the deck like this as they're sticking the jokers into the deck. Right now you have to execute a call. And for those who don't know about calling, it's a way of controlling the card underneath the spread. So in this case, I'll leave it face up so you can see it. The selection card is the 6 of hearts. As your right hand moves over, covering that 6 to conceal it, your right hand fingers are going to be pulling that card out underneath the spread. And as you're spreading the cards, this card is just riding along underneath the spread. You're going to want to reposition this card between the jokers. Of course, this is going to be done as you're talking about the location of their selections. One more time, the jokers are placed into the center of a deck. Their card are on the 4th position. As you spread out 3, I normally ask them if they think their card is on the top half or on the bottom half. This is a good misdirection for you to call that card and then put it between the jokers. Now normally you can feel a click right here, and I like to just break the hand like this as you talk about their location of their selection cards. Now the trick is almost done. You have made one step ahead of them. You already have their selection between them, you just need to make it appear. This is when the pop-out move comes in. I like to spread it out like this and show it cleanly from top and bottom. Now you can use your first finger to apply a little pressure on the bottom joker to get the break. Because if you look from underneath, it's actually their selection. When you push this one up, you actually get access to their selection, like so. Now here's the challenge part. You need to kick that card out with your pinky. So if you apply just a little bit of pressure, you can create that side job. I know it sounds like a lot of work, but if you use your right hand to stabilize the top half, it should really help the move. You're gonna kick this out and get into the pop-out position. Now when you do this, obviously you don't want them to see this. So another tip that you could do is to use my right hand and just spread a little bit to cover that card. At this point, you're ready to do the production. Again, execute the move as we taught before. And now all you have to do is just to catch the production like this. And that's it. That's the first part of center point retouch. Once the first part is produced, you have an option to perform the second part. You tell them that you're going to perform it one more time, and here's how it's done. You're going to grab the two jokers and place it back into the center of the deck. You're going to riff over your thumb like this, replacing the first joker on top. You're going to count one card with your thumb, and then putting the second card below that card. So pretty much you're creating a sandwich card of an indifferent card between the jokers without them knowing. It should look like you're just taking these two, put it in like that. But secretly, you're actually counting one card between the jokers. You get ready for the pop-out move like we did before. Now here's a visual part. You tell them that you're going to do one more time. This time they can actually see it visually jump from here through the center of a deck. Here's what it looks like. You take this card, you're going to slap it on the bottom of your left hand, and here's what it looks like. At this point, this card is being trapped between two hands. You're going to immediately spread into that card and execute a switch. Here's just a quick casual switch. Right now we have that card below the joker because we just break a spread. You're going to put the right hand, pack it onto your left hand. At the same time, applying friction on the selection because everything's going to fall over to your left hand except for that card, their selection, like this. And that's their selection. Now the reason that this would work, because they already seen the first part that you produced their card. The second part, they should already be convinced when they see the production. I'll do it one more time quickly. Two jokers are placed into the center of the deck. You get one card in between. Get ready. The move, you just hold this. Make sure to watch the angle, not flashing this card. I like to go a little further to the back because it has a better angle to conceal this card. You hit it, do the move. As you can see now that the selection, the 5 of diamonds, is being trapped between the hands. You're going to spread until you reach the first joker. You're going to separate your hand. Now do the switch like this and casually turn it face up. And that's it. That's the explanation for the center point retouch. Here's a thumb shot. I first learned this from David Forrest on his Trickery DVD set. I also heard from Eric Jones that this move is also invented by Leonard Green. So I'm not really sure who to credit this, but the first person I learned is from David. Here's just my addition on the move, and I use it as a production between a sandwich card. So without further ado, let's get into the mechanic of the thumb shot. Here's the mechanic. Essentially how you're shooting the card is you're using your thumb. That's why it's called a thumb shot. A lot of people do this move. Eric Jones uses this move a lot as a vanish and some as a sandwich move, which is great. But I like to use this as a thumb shot. It uses the same principle. You use your thumb and a pinky break. When you move your thumb from here to the side of the deck, it allows that card to be in that position, in a perpendicular position. Now the same action, all you're doing is really just this, but what you want to do is to relax your hand and essentially just shooting that card, because the flat edge of the deck allow that card to just glide along and just keep shooting. So I'm gonna do it one more time. As you can see, the card is being spun out with your thumb, like so. And all you're really doing is catching the right hand. That's the tricky part. Here's a little tip that you could do. I use 2 fingers behind it and use my thumb to apply pressure on top. If you're just holding the card like this, sometimes it's kind of hard to separate because of the air between the cards. So from the bottom, it looks like this. First, middle finger and my thumb on top right here. Now, when you open your hand, you're gonna create that look, like so. You wanna create that little space between the 2 cards. And also, you don't want to be catching the card like so big, you know, so you try to minimize that gap. If you do it quickly, it should look like the card just appeared like that. Also, shooting the card and also aiming it could be a little knacky and challenging. What you have to do is just to look where that line is from here, and that's exactly where it's going to be shot at. So when you're aiming for this, try to aim the side of the deck to be the same line with the jokers, like this. If I push my thumb, you can kind of see where it's going. Now, if you catch this right, with the right revolution, it should look like this, a perfect card production. If you catch it wrong, sometimes it looks like this, which is okay too. It's just more prettier when you catch it in the right revolution. Do it one more time just so you can see it. Just like that. Now, what you can do also is to have a card selected. In this case, the 3 of hearts. The card is control, as we taught before with a double undercut or any preferred method that you like. You control it to the top. Now you tell the spectator that you're going to try to shoot the card out somewhere from a deck. So this is more like a stunt. You can riffle like this, trying to create the impression that the card is actually somewhere in a deck, and you're going to cause that one card to shoot out and catch between the 2 jokers. In reality, you're actually shooting the card from the top. So you're going to push over and get a break, or do a pinky countdown. And so what I like to do is condition them a couple times, and on a 3rd time I actually shoot the card out, catch between that, and at the same time do a fake riffle once. In real time it should look like and that's it. That's thumb shot production. Now once you master the production, here's a few applications I would like to show to you. First one is the 2-card production that could be done stand up like this. You might have seen me do this in the intro, and here's how you do it. All you have to do is to get a break below a double, and you're going to execute the exact same move. Now as you can see, when you do the move, the double is splitted, and this also causes the card to jump to different directions. And all you have to do is to catch with both hands at the same time. Sometimes the card might not jump out too far, so what I like to do is to add some little momentum with my wrist, and that would cause the card to jump up a lot further. Let me show you what it looks like. Just like that. You just catch 2 cards. This is one application. You can also do the exact same thing with just a single card as 1-card production between a sandwich in a stand-up position. Do the exact same way of trapping the card between. Instead of doing down here, you just bring everything up here, and you're gonna do it with just 1 single card. Here's what it looks like. That's it. Keep practicing, and I hope you find some use for this move. Here's the revised version of Inflict. What I've added here is just a little touch that makes this trick a lot stronger. Here's what I like to do. First, I like to introduce two of a kind. It could be kings, it could be jokers, aces, doesn't matter whichever one you like. I'm going to create a prediction right about here. This is a perfect trick to introduce the thumb shot production. I like to shoot out a joker because joker is wild, and it could be any card. It's a good use for misdirection to add on their selection later on. I'll show you in a second. So once you produce the card could be selected. Again, we're going to be controlling this card to the top of a deck. You can use whichever method you like. Double undercut, pass. Here's a brief explanation for the double undercut. For example, let's say a spectator selects a card, in this case the ace of clubs. You want to hold the break with your pinky. As you close the spread, you maintain that break, like so. You're going to transfer the break from your pinky to your thumb. So as you can see here, there's a little gap there. You're going to put your thumb in between the break. This is called thumb break. You're going to take the bottom half and put it to the top, square everything up, and then as you're squaring this up, you're taking the rest of the packet up to the top. And when you complete the cut, the selection is now on top. That's how you control the double undercut. Once you have the card to the top, you tell them that that card has been there the entire time and there's no way that that could be their selection. You build out the suspense, and here's what I like to do. You get the break below the first card on the pinky, like this. This is their selection on top. I would take the king, and at the same time as I reveal this card, it's when I do the load. So this turn over, your thumb take the joker, and this king, instead of going on top, I'm actually going to place this card below that king with a double. So it's like this. And this is a seal. Let me do that one more time quickly. Their selection's on top. Take the king, turn his face up. This hand turn back down. And gonna insert right between the break and grab everything. The deck could be now tabled, and you're set to do the change. And here's how it's done. Square everything up, turn everything end for end, and turn the joker face up. What you have now, you should have that selection face up between the jokers. Here's some little convincing tip that you could do. If you want to, you can turn your hand like this and show there's just two kings. But what you have done is to actually just push over a single card while maintaining that double with your selection hidden behind. You don't want to push too much that you're exposing that card. So for just a quick gesture, you can go like this. Okay, so here's the insert. You are going to pretend to take the joker and place between the kings. In reality, you actually place behind the kings. And here's how to create the illusion. You use your thumb to pull down a single card. Make sure you're not doing this so they see their selection. Only pull down one card as a quick flash. As you're displaying the joker and pretend to place it down, you're going to let go with your thumb and place the joker behind the kings. It should look like this. Here's the condition that we have right now. You're going to need to get a pinky break. Sometimes it's kind of difficult to pull down because the way cards are being bent. You can use your thumb to help pick up from the back and get a break like that. To do the move, this move is actually very similar to the 4-card change, except it's being done a lot faster. Your right hand is going to execute the exact same move while your left finger is pushing that card down. The card is being swished like this, but not at the same time. The selection is actually being pushed a little bit before that card get pushed down. Let me show you what I mean. The joker's behind. This card is coming up to cover the joker for split seconds, and your first finger push that down. Then you're gonna spread. That's what it looks like in fast motion. Now I've seen a lot of people try to do like this, which doesn't look really good. You want to try to keep that retention of vision of the card in the same position. So when you push this card up, make sure you're pushing against your thumb to align the card, okay? You don't want the card to be out like that. You want to try to keep the card in the same position as the joker. So because it should look like that card just changed, like this. Here's a little touch that you can add onto Inflict. Can I borrow your finger for a second? And let's say the jokers are being placed in the center between the kings. Instead of doing change by yourself, you can ask the spectator to hold the finger out, and right before they touch it, that's when you execute the change. Here's what it looks like. The spectator can take the card out, They can examine the card because right now all the heat is on that selection. A sandwich card could be put in your pocket and the trick is over. Sometimes it is hard to control the audience, so here's another tip that you could do. Hold your hand out for a second. Now if you choose to, you can have to just hold your finger out like this and you actually move your hand up to touch their finger. That way you have a better timing of the change. Here's what it looks like. Just like that, you can show the card, give it out to them, they can keep the card. That's it. That's the explanation for inflict retouch. Here's the color changing deck effect. What you have received is two gaff card. One is a joker with a blank back and a blank card with a bicycle back. In this case, I'm using a latte deck. You're gonna need to supply yourself a blank deck, which should be bought in any magic store. Now here's the setup. If you look down here, you have a blank deck. You are going to need one card matching with the original deck that you used to perform. That one goes on top of the deck. Then you're gonna place a joker with a blank back and also a blank card on top. So technically you only have 3 cards on top of a blank deck. I normally place this on my back pocket and to do a switch anytime that I want. You also need a matching regular deck to perform the effect. For example, we have a card sign. When the spectator is signing the last card, since all these effects are not signed, when they're signing a card, it's kind of like a nice lead up to the effect. And there's a lot of misdirection at that time. As spectator is signing the cards, I just take the deck, put it on my left pocket. With my right hand, I reach on my back pocket and grab out the gimmick deck. Now, spectator is not aware of the deck switch, so when they place this card back, you're almost ready to do the finale. Here's some little tip I like to do. I would like to get a break below the top 2 and just push it slightly over. Because before I do the deck change, I want the spectator to see the back as much as possible. I normally ask them to take the card and place back anywhere they like in the deck. It doesn't matter at that time. They push it all the way in. As you can see here, I already have a break. I use my pinky to transfer the break and hold a pinky break. This effect is really simple. All you have to do a double lift. Depending on your presentation, you could try to find the card and it's not the card, it's a joker. You can also use the line as, well, joker is a while. It could be any card. Or you could just turn over as a gesture. With your right hand, you can turn it down and pick up a double. Right now I have 2 cards. I have the blank card and I have the joker. And when you're holding these 2 together, it looks like a regular joker. You're going to place this double in the center of the deck. I normally use my pinky to pull this down. That way you can insert this pretty easily. And now here's the change. You are going to perform brush change. Now here's a little variation that make the change look a little more deceptive and a little quicker. Okay, essentially I'm going to do this in slow motion. You are going to separate the top card to your left slightly. As this packet come up, both hands are actually tilting toward each other, and essentially you're using the bottom card to kick this one over. Now since you're putting this in the center of a deck, there's a lot of pressure on it already. So once it reached to a point, it would pop on top automatically. You'll find that feeling. So again, the double goes in, just pull up, at the same time you push this card slightly and execute the change. Make sure you're not flashing this joker though. At that time, everything is white. Spectators are all confused. All you have to do is just spread everything over. Just make sure you're not spreading, showing that back. Just do a block push off and just keep spreading. At this point, the trick is done. They don't know what's coming until they see their selection. There's only one card, and you can cleanly turn this over and have them check this out. That's it. That's the color changing deck routine. Here's the impromptu version for the color changing deck. Okay, so here's the setup. In this example, I am going to turn a red deck into a latte deck. Here's the first thing you have to do. Put the face down, red card, face down, matching card, a latte card, face up, latte card, and face down, red card. Okay, so it's just 4 cards like that. Now instead of doing a double lift, you are going to do a triple lift. And this card could be changed to anything. Could be a joker, could be an ace, or anything. Just make sure the pip match with the color changing deck. Okay, for example, you do a deck switch, the card is selected and is placed back into the deck. Now, at this point, everything should be exactly the same as the one we taught before. Get a break below the third card and do a triple lift. Now, at this point, you turn everything over. Make sure not to flash this. I normally try to tilt my hand down a little bit as I'm putting that triple in there. From here, you're going to do the exact same thing, but this time you're actually pushing a block of 2 cards. I'm going to do this slowly. As you can see, the card has changed. One advantage you have right now though is that you can actually flash this card as if that 2 just changed. You don't have to worry about them seeing this card. Now you immediately spread the whole thing and then show the only red card in the deck is your signed card. And that's it. That's the impromptu version for the color changing deck. All the effects that you just learned can be performed as standalone effect or combined together as a stunning visual routine. Of course, this effect can be mix and match depending on your performing style because it's flexible and can be easily adapted to your own working repertoire. I'll be sharing a routine that worked best for me, and hopefully this will help you construct a routine that works best for you. I like to open with a double lift because it's simple, short, and it's also interactive. It gives you a better idea if you should follow through with the audience or move forward. I normally like to close with a color changing deck because it's unexpected. You have plenty of time while the spectators signing the card. It's a perfect time for you to switch the deck. As spectators sign the card, it's also a perfect gift for them to remember you by and also talk about your magic. As far as in the middle of the routine, you can also mix and match depending on their energy level and how you feel about the crowd. If they seem more like a skeptical crowd, and you want to get them back, color changing deck at the end is a perfect effect to end your routine. So please feel free to mix and match this routine. Again, these are just examples of a style magic that works best for me. And hopefully you can find something that can be adapted to your own personal style. Thank you again for supporting us. These are materials I've been working and refining and polishing over the years that works best for me. I hope it helps you in your magical journey. And with that,